Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Have an amazing show for everybody today. What do we have, Krystal?
Indeed, we do. We got some big breaking news this morning. Mayor Adams of New York City is indicted. Right now, the charges are sealed. We are awaiting them being unsealed, but we still have a lot of details that we can get into on that. Kamala Harris yesterday made a big economic pitch. She gave a big economic speech in Pittsburgh. She also sat for a hard-hitting interview with MSNBC's Stephanie Ruhle. So you have something to say about that, Saagar, before we jump in?
I was forced to watch the whole thing, forced to suffer through pharma commercials, and I didn't even get anything out of it. So I'm salty. And I went to bed late, so there's too much going on.
Speaking of salty, though,
yeah,
salt tax did come up.
That's right,
so.
but no answer. But no answer. All right, we'll get to it.
All right, so we'll show you highlights, lowlights, all the lights from that. We're also keeping a close eye on Lebanon. Israel is threatening a ground invasion there, so very serious and significant developments, deeply troubling, of course. We're taking a deep dive this morning into the Senate map, which has some interesting developments on the Democratic side, which races they actually think are the most gettable and which they're kind of given up on. So we'll get into all of that. We've also got some rare good news. Overdoses are down. Overdose deaths are down significantly. So nobody knows exactly why. There are probably confluence of factors that go into that, so we will discuss. And looking forward to speaking with my friend, journalist Torre, who has some exclusive details for us about the abuse of Diddy. He's got a new piece up about Cassie in particular, but he also has a personal family member who had a run-in with Diddy that was, to call it a red flag would be a major understatement. So he'll give us all of those details. But before we get to any of that, we also have, for you lovely people, a new discount.
Big announcement happening over here. We've only got, 40-something days until the election, so let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. We've got an election discount that will be live throughout the election. We're doing $15 off our premium membership. Promo code is BP2024. Again, BP2024 that you can use at breakingpoints.com. Effectively, what this means is that the $15 is like prorated, so you get election coverage for free. So you're all welcome. That's what you get from our annual membership. We want to make sure that we can get as many people in here as possible. You can not only get to support the show, but you get exclusive election content that's going to be behind the paywall. We already have a forecast segment that our premium subscribers got to watch, our election predictions, and a lot more that's coming up that we're planning. We have some big announcements that we're really excited about. You will absolutely have a one-stop shop here for election coverage, and that's something we've been working towards literally for years, something our premium subscribers have always requested.
Yeah.
And so lots of things that we've built out, people we've hired, et cetera, and that's really exciting.
Very excited about that. We've got a great election forecaster, Logan Phillips, who's going to be doing some exclusive content for premium subscribers on a weekly basis. So if you can, sign up, you get that discount. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the show here. We can put this first element up on the screen. Everything we know about this indictment of Mayor Adams. This came down late last night, at least late in my book and in your book, Saagar.
It was 9:30. I mean, it's late.
That's pretty late.
Yeah.
So in any case, he has been indicted on federal criminal charges. We have some indications it may be a FARA violation. I'll tell you more about that in just a moment. But officially, the charges are right now sealed. There was also a search by federal agents of Gracie Mansion, that is the residence of Mayor Adams in New York City, this morning early. Unclear specifically what charges or when he will surrender to authorities. Federal prosecutors are expected to announce the details of that indictment on Thursday. So we can put the next element up on the screen, actually, which goes through some of the timeline. I recommend, if you haven't been following the story, go back and watch the interview we did last week with Ross Barkan, breaking down what the hell is going on here, because there has been a long, more than a year buildup to this moment. First of all, you had his phones, Mayor Adams' phones, seized in what appeared to be an investigation. They raided the home of his chief fundraiser. And this particular investigation, it appears to be around the allegation that Mayor Adams took money from Turkish government sources.
Yes.
And then intervened with the fire department as the Turkish government was trying to build a consulate in Midtown Manhattan. And the fire department had safety code concerns. And reportedly, allegedly, Mayor Adams intervened and pushed them to okay the opening of this building in spite of those safety concerns. That is the best that we know about the allegations that he is facing. But in addition to, the focus on him, his administration has been besieged by 4 different federal investigations. Just in the past number of weeks, he's had 4 separate high-level officials resign. He is himself facing calls to resign and was even before it became official that these indictments were coming down. So AOC actually got a little bit ahead of the curve just yesterday. She called for his resignation. He sort of alleged that she was racist for suggesting that. But he will be the first sitting New York City mayor to actually face federal criminal charges. So this is quite significant. This is someone, Saagar, of course, who was once talked about as the future of the Democratic Party. He's a former cop. He won the mayoralty. Of course, all the action in New York City at this point is on the Democratic side. So it was the primary that was the big deal. Pretty crowded primary field. He was against Maya Wiley and another woman who was even further left. Her campaign kind of imploded there at the end. I don't know if you remember.
What was her name? God.
Garcia?
Cynthia? No, Garcia. Yeah, it was
Cynthia Garcia, something like that.
It was something like
my brain.
Sorry,
sorry,
whoever you are.
In any case, I remember the primary quite well. It was a big deal that he won. He ran on this very fund the police thing, and a bunch of centrist Democrats absolutely loved that and thought this guy was the next, the next Democratic superstar. They apparently hadn't dug much into him, both in terms of previous allegations of corruption and also just in terms of basic competence. One thing I've enjoyed about him is some of his really bizarre content that he's produced. Just go and look at, Eric Adams being asked what was the best part of last year in one word, or go and look at the compilations of him saying New York City is the Islamabad of America, New York City is the Kuala Lumpur of America, et cetera, et cetera. But these are very serious allegations and a very serious situation for the city of New York, which, even putting aside the corruption, this is one of the points that Ross Barkan made, it's not like he's done a good job as mayor. So it'd be one thing if you had a corrupt mayor. Many big, American cities do. But he was actually delivering for constituents. Ross pointed out, there is not one major initiative that you could point to that has really been a success under Mayor Adams. So there's nothing, so to speak, to sort of offset the clear swirling corruption throughout his administration.
There are some other countries we've learned a little bit about this morning that the mayor is embroiled with. But before we get to that, let's look at his response. Very classic, maybe Trumpian, some might say.
Yeah.
Let's take a listen.
My fellow New Yorkers, it is now my belief that the federal government intends to charge me with crimes. If so, these charges will be entirely false, based on lies. But they would not be surprising. I always knew that if I stood my ground for all of you, that I would be a target. And a target I became. I will fight these injustices with every ounce of my strength and my spirit. If I'm charged, I know I am innocent. I will request an immediate trials so the New Yorkers can hear the truth. I have been facing these lies for months since I began to speak out for all of you and their investigation started. Yet the city has continued to improve. Make no mistake, you elected me to lead this city, and lead it I will. I humbly ask for your prayers and your patience as we see this through. God bless you, and God bless the city of New York. Thank you.
All right, there you go. So Adams is now he's a Republican. He's basically like, because I courageously spoke out against the migrant crisis, that's why they're coming after me. Probably a little bit inconvenient that the investigation probably long predates a lot of at least the migrant situation in the city of New York. As we said, it's not just Turkey. Turkey seems to be the most ironclad one, but there are 6 other nations that they are looking into, and those include Israel, Qatar, China, South Korea, and Uzbekistan. That the mayor's dealings with those 5 countries are also.
Discriminate,
I was going to say, he is an equal opportunity. He's equal opportunity corrupt, allegedly, for the lawyers. And I almost would have to respect that. Now, as you said, he is the first mayor to be federally indicted while in office. Probably not the first mayor who should have been indicted, but this will be very interesting for a variety of reasons, because I think what it comes down to with Eric Adams Adams is not just the FARA violations that they seem to be exploring here. And the allegation specifically is that they funneled money, not to himself personally, but to his campaign. Which is actually worse, because FEC law is so ironclad that if you really did mess that up, or if they have evidence to that regard, you're dead, in a federal court. It's almost impossible to beat a charge like that.
Yeah. The weird thing about FEC laws is that on the one hand, of course, we know money flows like wine throughout our campaign election system. Like, if you follow the available loopholes, you can do almost anything you want. One of the red lines is foreign government cash. Totally. And so, yeah, it's, and of course, this would be governed by New York state laws and New York City regulations as well. But these are federal criminal violations that we're talking about here. FARA, we've been throwing this term around, Foreign Agent Registration Act, that speaks to the, interactions with Turkey and other countries potentially allegedly trading campaign contributions for favors for foreign governments. That's the core of what we know is likely to come out here. I was mentioning before, he's had 4 major resignations in his administration. This investigation is far from the only one. There's all kinds of other alleged corrupt dealings going on. So it just seems like the whole thing is kind of rotten to its core in a variety of different ways. His chief counsel resigned. His police commissioner resigned. His education chancellor and health commissioner have both said that they are also resigning. So you also get to a point where it's like, okay, dude, even if I believe you, which I don't, but even if I believe you, how are you going to function? Your administration is crumbling before our eyes. How are you going to be able to run? This has got to be one of the toughest jobs in all of politics, being New York City mayor. How, when you already weren't doing a good job, are you going to continue to execute on this very high level, very weighty, difficult position? And so, that's one of many questions that he is now faced with. I'm trying to get a sense of what could happen here. So voters in New York City don't have an option to recall him, so that's not on the menu. He, of course, could resign. If he does, Jumaane Williams, who's the New York City public advocate and who's more of a left-leaning figure and who has been a critic of Adams and has been calling for him to resign and is also a likely mayoral candidate in the event that he does resign and there is a special election, he would fill that post until they do have a special election. There are a number of other people who also are likely to throw their hats in the ring. One of the people who is, high profile, who may use this as an opportunity to make his political comeback is Andrew Cuomo, former governor of New York. So that's something to watch for here as all of this unfolds. There is this code on the books in New York that's been used very rarely and not since FDR was governor of New York, where Governor Kathy Hochul could actually force him out. There's a somewhat complicated procedure that she would have to follow. Like I said, it's almost unprecedented, but that is a theoretical possibility that exists as well. So those are some of the directions that things could head in next. But as you heard from him, as of now, defiant and not planning on resigning.
Yeah, and I've even seen the other people in the New York City machine. Bill de Blasio was on CNN late last night, and he was like, well, just remember, innocent until proven guilty. And I was like, interesting. So, de Blasio, I guess, is somewhat
kind of surprises me.
I thought it's the same. I thought he would have been an enemy of his. But hey, listen, he was also mayor of New York, so maybe he doesn't want to normalize those people getting indicted. So anyways, from what we can tell so far is that, of course, he is fighting the charge, or whatever the eventual charge of this comment hasn't actually happened yet. All we know is that the mayor has been indicted, that his residence has been searched, his phone has been seized. There's widespread corruption allegations surrounding every person that is around him. And this really does just seem like a network of just complete chaos, because he's facing, at least from what we see so far, this discrete FARA charge, but many of the people around him are facing far more serious corruption allegations in terms like the police commissioner involved in being some shakedown scheme with his brother.
His twin brother.
Again, you need to go and watch our segment with Ross Barkan, who does a good job of breaking all of this down. It just does seem that it flowed from the top and there was a loosey-goosey attitude. And this is something that has characterized Adams from the beginning, this whole, did he even live in New York City question, which is a legitimate question for a while, whether he actually even lived in the city itself from the beginning. And then he has, I think he's going to do no mayor, as I understand it, has done a more serious job of trying to cultivate the wealthy elite of New York City. So there's famous pictures going around now of him and Diddy, whatever.
Isn't he the one that gave Diddy the key to the city?
Yeah, he literally gave him the key to the city. Not that long ago, obviously, since it was in 2021. Yeah, by the way, there were some widespread allegations around that time.
Already at that point,
But
yeah.
I mean, he's got pictures with famous people. Like, he really relished the ceremonial job. He obviously traveled the globe as the mayor of New York. And so I think he's going to try and leverage some of that fame and some of those contacts itself. I will be curious to see if he does become a Republican kind of ceremonial figure because he's trying to use immigration as the reason for why he got himself indicted. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun to watch.
That's the move. Deep
Honestly, it was
coming
smart.
after him.
Yeah, it was smart.
I mean, that would be the corner to run to.
Yeah.
Like, Democrats are not going to defend you at this point. They're done with you. And so, yeah, Republicans will believe like, oh, it's the deep state targeting me because I spoke out about them. They will, a good number will buy that. So if his political career is done in New York City anyway, that would be a good way for him to get a new sort of, national influencer gig or whatever on the right. So
yeah, he'll be on Fox.
Definitely.
Guaranteed.
Oh, you could.
Yeah,
oh,
guaranteed.
They would eat that up all day long.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.